Well, hello everyone. Happy Tuesday, July 21st, 7:24 p.m. Wow. It doesn't feel like a Tuesday, but here we are. But yeah, what can you do? Yo, we got Fedorevsky. Thank you very much for hopping into the stream. Yes, as Swiss Army Cinema says, being the first one in the comments. I appreciate it. And Swiss Army, good to see you on here. You said, I'm busy moving into my new office. Good things to come. Oh, man, I haven't had time to digest your message. Let me hop onto Discord. You said, yo, your new studio, 800 square feet of nerd heaven. That place looks amazing. You know what? I was just mentioning on the other stream that I started playing a video game called Pal World, which it's been out for a while, but apparently I heard about it because there's a lot of hype about some firmware update and everything was going to be like drastically improved. Anyways, it's like my kind of game because all you do is just hunt and gather and collect Pokemon basically and build up your base. And so looking at the photos you sent, Swiss, it's kind of reminded me of that, where you have this like empty plot of land, if you will, and you get to now start designing and figuring out what to put where. And like, oh man, I'm kind of jealous of you, man. You're in the starting phase of something new. I'm sure will be glorious in your new space. But thanks for hopping in here so early. I appreciate it. Hello, everyone. I am Yobel. I go by YobelPrize. I am a wildlife and travel photographer turned YouTuber turned live streamer turned filmmaker. That's our latest part of our journey. And I like to, at least on these live streams, I like to just do some of the chill, boring stuff in my opinion, but I enjoy the boredom. I use these times to kind of edit my photos, edit my videos, and turn on my camera. So just in case if someone finds it interesting, you know, we got this massive world with, you know, however many people on it. I don't know how many people tune into YouTube and Twitch and all that, but in all that world, in case someone finds me, stumbles upon my content and finds me editing photos and videos enjoyable, or hanging out with my cats if they so choose to join, well, here I am. That's what this is for. So thank you to anyone who hops in at any point on the stream. We're going to be doing a lot of photo edits today as well. I doubt that I'm going to make it to the gorilla photos. That's my hope, is we can get shit done, right? Let's see, it's 7:30 p.m. At the pace that I've been going, I don't know if I'll finish. But like a lot of these photos that I'll be editing today, they're not like wildlife photos. So in some ways I should be a bit faster. It tends to be like when I have a hero image of a wildlife shot. Those are the ones where I might stay on that for a long time. My hope is that for some of these photos that I'll be working on today, it should be kind of like rapid pace, like, hey, I don't have to do anything too creative. We're just trying to get a nice, decent look and move on. I say this in advance knowing that no matter what I say, I tend to do the opposite. Yeah, what can you do? Anyways, thank you guys again. Let's see, are my cats here? I just fed them, so I don't think... Oh, we got someone in the... That must be Kimpop. Kimpop, can you hear me? Yeah, good boy. Good boy. Oh, look at that autofocus finally catching your eyes there. I mentioned before, Kimpop stopped. He hasn't been sleeping on the bed that's right behind him. This one here. It's been kind of empty for some time now. He's been sitting in between the two beds on like my little, hey buddy. And then sometimes he joins us here. Oh, look at this guy. All right, glad to have you on board, Kimpop. Daytor says, hello, Yobel. Hi, everyone. Guten Abend, Daytor. You know what, Daytor? I feel I'm obligated to learn more German. I should like add one more German word every single time. So then I can treat these streams, and especially when you hop in there, Daytor, I can at least, you know, pretend like I'm building up a knowledge base of a new language. But all I've got so far is Guten Abend, Guten Morgen, das. No, yeah, you guys say das a lot. I think that means that. And then danke, dankeschön. So anyways, we got Kimpop here. Look at this handsome lad. Man, he's been a little bit mischievous recently, constantly going up on the kitchen and stealing food. I swear, okay, yeah, he's just a little rascal. But look at this guy making some biscuits of his own. We're just gonna turn this into a cat stream. Separate note, I am very excited. I think I mentioned it the other day, but as of now, I think it's kind of, we say locked in, but it looks like the trajectory will be beginning of November. Beginning November is when we will be hopefully doing our first wildlife live stream showcasing the safaris. So shout out to Swiss Army for being here, but hopefully he and I will be able to go to the land of the Maasai and do a bit of filming, do a little bit of streaming, you know, and testing out all the technology. Which reminds me, shoot, I need to figure out how to purchase my Starlink, because I doubt it's going to be shipped to Dubai anytime soon. I just saw that 4 airlines canceled their flights to Dubai because unfortunately the war, the conflict, whatever, is picking back up a little bit, unfortunately. So, but yeah, I do got to figure that out. We'll see how to get the last pieces of the tech that I need, and then we should be Gucci. Oh, one thing I need to test here. When I type in this chat, does it go through? Testing. Okay. It's work. Some things are broken on my end, but we'll make it work. Okay, so as my cat continues to do his little thing, look at this guy. What was this? Oh yeah, so the streaming thing, yeah, hopefully that'll be in November. That gives me a few months to kind of start preparing, and hopefully we'll lock it down. Separately, I have released my latest video on YouTube. I hope you guys check it out. It is episode 1. We're making a full-on series. Oh, hey, look who's joining on the other bed. All right. See, she's a little bit more, what do you call it? Not indiscriminate. She just doesn't care. She'll sleep on any of the beds that are available. So good to see Nala hanging out with us here as well. Look at this queen doing her thing. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so if you guys check out, I think I pinned it to all the chats. So if you tune in on YouTube, Twitch, or Kick, or if you're watching this as a VOD later on YouTube, make sure to head over to my channel and watch my first episode. It's mostly kind of a setup episode. So it's setting up the premise, it's setting up the gear that I'm planning to shoot with, but I also give a lot of teasers in there of like just kind of what the trip looks like. So I do hope you'll enjoy it. I think it's only like 9 minutes or so, 9 to 10 minutes, something like that. But yeah, I'll put a lot of thought into it. I did have to cut out one quick element of it just to be on the safe side. But generally speaking, everything, I'm really happy with how it turned out. So just let me know your thoughts. And so that's episode 1. I'm currently working through the subsequent episodes. The next episode, it'll take us into Uganda properly. So this episode was more the setup, as I mentioned, the gear, and then a little bit of that trip into Munich. The next one, we're going to start focusing on me arriving in Uganda for my group photo tour that I was organizing. And yeah, going into the first couple of days of that trip where I spend time photographing and filming the shoe-bill stork. So yeah, take a gander, as they say. But for today, outside of that, what are we working on? We're working on the road trip to the gorilla country. So on the prior streams, we had finished all of the chimpanzee photos, so I won't necessarily belabor that point too much. We'll just stick to one photo here as a quick little for context, right? So we had finished, I don't know which one's my favorite still, can't tell. But these were, you know, we had wrapped up all the chimpanzees from this trip. And like I said, I'm actually super, super happy with how these photos turned out. Like, man, if I had the space on my walls here, I want to get some of these printed. I'm so happy with it. I hope my safari logistics travel partners over in Uganda will be happy with it. I gotta see how to get this in front of like the tourism board people too. But yeah, anyways, jumping ahead of myself. Yo, we got Kavai in the chat as well. Kavai says to Detour, hello. Shout out to Kavai. Hopefully you're having fun, Kavai, with all the huskies and, you know, just the craziness. I don't know what the weather's like for you. I am still bummed out I didn't get to go to Norway a few months back. But I think I'll have to just figure this out for next year or something. But thanks for hopping in here. I appreciate it. One other thing I need to check on my end. Blah, blah, blah. Gotta fix something. Oh, Kavai. Oh, man. You know what? I don't get the sound notification. So sometimes I usually miss the things, but now I'm looking at the chat here. I see... When did you send this over? I saw you used up some of the points to tell me to fix my posture. But wait, it disappeared. But okay, you know what? I'm assuming, unless I'm going crazy, I think I saw something pop up and it's not. I don't see it anywhere. But I think you spent some points to tell me to fix my damn posture. So listen, I appreciate that. Sound like my mother, man. Okay, so this is what we worked on. Then we proceeded to the end of the chimps, and now we are entering into the road shots. I basically took a drive from Chibale. In Uganda, I think they sometimes pronounce the K as a CH, but it's like it's intermingling. Like sometimes they just do Kibale, sometimes they Chibale. So I don't know. Anyways, I went from Chibale or Kibale National Park, which is where the densest population of the chimps are. From there, we did a pretty decently long drive, but it was a very scenic drive. It's super enjoyable because we're going through the country roads, essentially. I don't know if that's the right terminology. We take these mountain roads, and you're passing by all these towns and villages. And the number of children that you see on the sides of the road that are like, they recognize your Jeep immediately. Like they see the Jeeps, they know it's like a 4x4 tourism vehicle. And so immediately they start like waving, shouting, running after the car. Sometimes I think they're hoping for you to give like candy or food or money or something like that. But it's just like, it's super welcoming. It's really nice vibes. So you get those moments throughout the trip. And so what I did is I was testing out a bunch of action cameras. So here I had the Osmo Nano. And so with the Osmo Nano, I hooked it up to my hat. And then anytime I thought I was seeing a moment, you gotta understand, I was working, I'm always on the move, okay? So if I saw something ahead of me on the road, I would immediately hit the button to start recording on the Osmo Nano. And then I get my camera ready, and then I try to shoot it out the window or whatever was possible. So that way, hopefully you guys will enjoy the behind the scenes of me capturing the moment, and then I can flip over to actually show the moment, in its full edited glory. And so that's what we're doing now. You guys are seeing some of those photo attempts when I was fondly calling it drive-by shooting, but of course there was no harm done to anyone. But I love these kind of drive-by shootings with the camera when we're on the road. So not sure if all of these will turn out good, but that's what the point of this stream is you get to watch me attempt to take some of my raw photos and see if we can make it juicy, you know? Kavai says, I'm having fun with the Huskies. It's cold in the north. What about you? I sent posture reminder a minute ago. Yes. Yeah, I appreciate that. I think on my phone this morning, I swear I saw it say 41 degrees, but that sounds a little too much, right? No, there's no shot it could have hit 41. Let's see. Dubai temperature. Oh my god, maybe it did, because right now it's in the evening and it's saying 35 degrees and the high of today was 37. Okay, I swear I saw 41. Maybe I was half asleep or dreaming, but yeah, it was hot today. I went to the gym, and the moment I opened the doors to go outside, it was like a blast of furnace air just coming right in. A bit insane. So yes, Kavai, I'm quite jealous of your climate. Nice pic with the glare in the mirror. Thank you very much. Yeah, so this is one of the photos that we had edited yesterday. I did my best to see if I can make it. It's just a normal shot. I don't really have much to say about it. I skipped this one because it's a bit too blurry everywhere. Then we moved on to this shot. Was pretty fun. Oh wait, did we do this yesterday? This might have been the other day. I added a bit of like a spotlight, almost like a little bit of a sunlight effect in the middle of the shot, so it just looks like it's just spilling through the canopy. But yeah, this is the before, this is midway through, and then this is the final version. I decided to go black and white for that one. Yeah, so this is from like maybe a few days ago. So this is what we edited yesterday then? It must be, yeah. So we edited some of these shots. I was struggling to figure out the right croppings, and I am trying to crop in 3 different modes right now, or at least 2. I've been enjoying trying to crop in 16:5 and 2.4:1. So you'll see a lot of those throughout. Kavai says, you must have good AC if you can't notice 40 degrees. You have no idea what my AC balance is. The bill every month, or in the summertime in Dubai, it makes you want to cry, because I can't stand the heat. If I have the temperature at 23 degrees or higher, it's like it's a sauna for me. 22 is bearable. 21 is slightly chilly, but I like it. But yeah, I'd rather have cold than too warm, although summer a bit more sun would be nice. Yeah, here there's a rule. This is what I always abide by. No one's able to argue against this. I have yet to have someone tell me a better argument. I prefer the cold over the heat, because if it gets too cold, you just put on more layers. If it gets too hot, at some point you can only take off too much and then you'll get arrested, right? So there's always a solution for when it's too cold versus when it's too hot. You know, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And then separately, if I had to die, I would rather die from the cold as opposed to the heat. From every account I've heard, it sounds like when you die in the cold, you just kind of doze off, right? You fall asleep into an eternal slumber, but at least you doze off. You know, it's like your body becomes so numb to the cold and then you drift off, right? Versus like, man, I grew up in a desert. I'm in a desert. The fever that you'll hit, like all the side effects of when it's way too hot and you start hallucinating, but it's like a fever hallucination, and God, it sounds terrible that way. Okay, anyways, not to go too morbid with it. So we edited this photo. We had a few different versions, and then this is the original. We didn't do too many photos yesterday. I remember I did a lot more talking than editing. My bad. This is the final shot that we edited yesterday. So I did struggle figuring out the cropping for this. I ended up sticking to this kind of I think it was a 4:5 aspect ratio, which is interesting because I don't usually do this particular framing. I've done it for Instagram for vertical, right? So, okay. So I guess this would be 5:4. But I've done 4:5. I just haven't done these 5:4 landscape versions. But here I really wanted to retain the shadow creeping off to the right. So I decided to place the subjects more to the left and make the shadow a part of the subject more prominently this way. So that was like the main cropping. And then I was playing around with a few, again, as I mentioned, I've been exploring doing more of these kind of super, or I don't know if you say ultra wide angles, but that's been fun for me. And then this is basically like the original shot. Okay, so we're caught up. Now the next photo we're gonna work on is one of these Banana Man shots. We have a few banana carrying shots. This one, let's see. Oh, you know what I should do? As I edit these, I should also just show you guys the actual behind the scenes footage as well. Hold on, let me find it. In the meantime, look at this guy. So nice of him to join us today. Usually he's, like I said, he's been kind of dipping off, going other places in my house, which is, you know, listen, it's his house. But it's nice whenever my cats decide to hang out with me, obviously. And hang out with you guys too, right? You know, it's part of the stream. What did I need to look up? Travel vlogs. This is from Heading to Bwindi. All right, here it is. Oh, and then here's my other cat. Oh, Nala's doing the same thing too, hanging out in the middle. All right, Nala, just be careful. Don't kick out your brother. Oh, where's she going? Oh, there she goes. Okay, so let's see if as I go through this photo, I'll show you guys the actual video moment as well, just to kind of give the full context, if you will. Full clips. Free will moments. Let's see. Oh, I think I just... No, it's not the right one. Okay, so that was from the earlier shot I showed. So here I was just taking a quick drive-by shot of this dude here with the wicker basket. That was this photo. And I created two versions, like a black and white version and then like the colored one. But anyways, that was from that specific drive-by moment. Then let's see. This must be the one I just worked on, yeah? Oh no, this is the tourist on the back of the bike. And I mentioned, but one of the problems was that the windshield itself, there's like a certain tint or like a certain glare or something to it. So whenever I was trying to take photos or videos through the windshield, the quality diminishes significantly. The sharpness of the image reduces significantly. So it's always better if I could stick the camera out the window, but it's not always the easiest, especially if there's something directly in front of me. So these are some of the struggles I had to deal with. Kavai says, awesome. Is the ZR that great at taking pictures and drive-by quick action moments? I mean, it's like no other, it's no different from any other camera of its caliber, I would say. Like, it's not like, I wouldn't say there's something, it's not known for that. But I think all of these cameras are capable of doing that, you know? It's got pretty fast action, pretty fast autofocus. And then when I'm driving past, it's not like it zips by, right? Usually I would see something and, you know, in this case, the biker is also moving forward, so it stays in front of you for some time. So I have time to kind of set up the shot. Other times it is a bit too difficult, but you'll see. You'll see when I fail, when I succeed. This was one of those that was success, because he was like, these guys were just ahead of me the whole time. But it's also really bumpy. You can see how bumpy the road is. So it was a bit of a struggle. And then here, this is usually where I cop out, or like, if I was more shameless, I would just stick the camera out the whole time and take photos of them as they pass me by right here. But there's like a feeling of like, okay, there's being a stalker, which is almost like comes with the territory of being a photographer, let's just say. You know, you just have to embrace the label that you're a stalker to some extent, okay? A stalker in all the right ways. But even for me, there's a limit to it. Like, it just, I don't want to, can you imagine? She's looking straight at me. And imagine if I had a camera in her face taking a shot of her. I don't think she would like that. So I feel like there's like unspoken rules of travel photography. Like, usually you're looking to get permission, right? You don't try to capture photos of locals or people in an unflattering way or in a way they don't want you to, unless like that's the intended goal. But then like, yeah, so I'm not like the type who would never take photos of strangers or stuff like that. It's part of what I enjoy, like when I travel and trying to find these hidden moments, human stories, whatever you might see from your travels. But once they're aware that you're there, that's a different story. Usually if they, like, for example, at this point, if we were staying together like this, I might either gesture or ask if I can take a photo and then take it. So always ask for permission, you know, if you can. Okay, so that was from the other photo. This is...
It's the other way.
Here we go.
Like a man. Should be seen as a woman who is not part of the traditional society.
Okay, so that's what Milton, our guide, was just explaining. He was explaining, I only caught the tail end of it, but he was explaining why the lady in front of us, she was sitting sideways on the bike, and he was mentioning that the way that the women sit on the back of the bike kind of signal something to the community. He said, what did he say? Something about it signals that she's a part of the community or part of the traditional community or something. Hold on.
Not part of the traditional society.
Traditional society. Got it. So now the beauty is here, for the most part of these road trips, I had the 85mm lens attached. I really enjoy the 85. So even at a fairly like long distance, right? So they're pretty much ahead of us. I'm still able to get some pretty decent close-up shots, crisp shots of the subjects, but then there's enough background because we are somewhat far away. I think at times I did test out the 70-200 for this as well, but in my opinion, I really like the 85. 85 and the 70-200, they're both amazing for like when you're in these kind of drive-by shooting modes.
Part of the traditional society.
And Kavai, if in case it's more helpful or you want more clarity on that, the way I'm shooting here, so usually I have it set to people mode. Sometimes I think I set it to car subject detection, but I think for these things it was probably set to human detection. And then I sometimes had a big long focus box that like stretched from all the way far left to far right as like a long rectangle. Other times I just had it set to almost like full autofocus box. So sometimes I just trust the camera entirely. So in this one, I'm trying to see in the back of the screen here, but it looks like I was trusting the camera. I think this was set to autofocus full with the full focus box across the sensor. And then really I'm just looking at the screen to see if I've got a lock on the subject. And once I see that the focus box is on my subject, any part of the subject, honestly, because like I'm not really here to try to get like a crisp, sharp eyes or anything. I just want to make sure I'm grabbing the vehicle or the people on the vehicle. At that point, then I'm just machine gunning away. I see you can kind of see here, you guys probably can't tell, but right here I see that green box. It's like stuck on someone's head. So then I just fire away. And then here I am machine gunning because like you can see how bumpy the drive is. So I'm just hoping, I'm praying that one of those shots are crisp. And forget if the rest are like motion blurry. Yeah, people detection. Yep. But it depends. There is a mode on these Nikon cameras to switch to like vehicle detection. So occasionally I will switch it to vehicle, but that's usually if it's like a more obvious vehicle. Like if I'm taking a footage or photo capture of like a Jeep or something like that, or a big van. But if it's like people on the car, then I think it's just better to do people detection. Or like if you have moments where, yeah, I think that's best. Okay, so that was the photo we edited yesterday. So this guy right here and the different croppings. But yeah, it's pretty damn good quality for a bumpy road. What did I shoot this? So this was at 85 millimeter. I shot at 1.2 aperture, so I was going ham. Shutter speed was 1/1600th of a second to kind of compensate for all the shake and the fast motion everywhere. And then I had the ISO set to 100. I forget if I had it on auto ISO or not. Given that it was like broad daylight, I am assuming I did just set it to auto ISO. Oh yeah, there you go. Nala, don't do that. Don't disturb your brother. You either stay here or go to the other bed. Pick or choose. No. Good girl. Okay, so on to the next photo. Now, as we edit, of course, I have a whole slew of YouTube videos that I want to get to. So let's see what's on the docket for today. There's a bunch I didn't get through yesterday.
Okay, Dune.
Why Dune 3 looks so different. Dune Part 3 trailer reaction. Okay. I'm quite curious about this one. Understanding visual literacy. Gear doesn't matter, but this one thing does. Oh yeah, we watched half of it. I think that's good enough. I don't even remember what he said the gear that's worth it is. Being a projectionist for the Odyssey in 70 millimeter. Oh yeah, I mentioned this the other day, but you guys should all check out the movie, The Odyssey. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think I gave it, coming out of the movie, I gave it like a 9 out of 10. And I think that'll probably stay. I think it'll stay 9 out of 10. I don't think I'll be swayed either way. But I'm probably going back in. I'm probably going to go back to watch it again. And I'd be curious. I would love to rewatch it with a bit more understanding of the lore, like all the Greek mythology and stuff like that. I had a general idea, but there's a lot I just didn't know or forgot about. So I think it'll be interesting to watch it from that angle the second time through. How to make your lighting look natural. Unapproved Netflix camera that swept the Emmys. I'm leaning towards this one. I don't know. That sounds... Because this looks like the TV show Adolescence was the name. And if I remember, the cool thing about that show is that every episode was like a single take, right? Like I think they just did single takes. So that is so impressive. Like technologically, obviously very impressive. But then I think I'm more impressed by the acting. Because as someone who's got such a terrible memory, I have a shit memory. I'm very bad at that kind of short term, like, you know, reciting or even long term. It's just not in my, I can't do it. I need a script usually, or I gotta really practice at it. So to have people who are acting for like, what is it, like a 30-minute show or something, or 30-minute episodes, my God, that's insane. I don't know if they all won some awards, but they should. Then there's The Japanese Philosophy That Changed My Life, Neuromancer, The Sky Above the Port from GX8 Ace, who's the guy Cyronius had shown us, and he's like super creative, super good. Okay, so I think we'll watch this one as we edit.
Since this breathtaking it's been a year since this breathtaking Netflix debut, and ever since, something's been on my mind. Did they trick us?
Oh, before we get into that though, so as I'm gonna edit one of these shots, let's see if I can find the video of it. I think I'll edit. I think I'm gonna edit this one, the very last of the series, just because there seems to be more space over on the right. So if I end up doing one of those super wide angle croppings, it might be possible to fit everything and have some space in the same direction as the bike. So we'll work on this one. But before I do, let's see if I can show you guys the behind the scenes. Yeah, this is it. So you see the Banana Man in front of me. That Tilta, this Tilta top handle came in handy for sure when you're like sticking your camera out the window. So that helped out quite a bit. Okay, so I wonder if I can see in the details here. Shooting in RAW, yeah. I was obviously shooting at a fast continuous mode in manual. I can't really make out the rest. Oh, I think it says like 1 over, I think it's the same thing. It's like 1 over 1600th of a second. Aperture looks like it's 1.2, ISO 100. And the same thing, I just had the full focus box across the entire image. And it proved to be super effective and handy, because like when you're on these kind of roads, it's pretty, it shouldn't take too strong of an autofocus feature to be able to grab the subject, because usually every time I'm taking a photo of something, it's it's like on the empty road. It's usually the only vehicle, so the camera should do a good job, and it definitely did. Like you know, I had good focus throughout. Okay, so that's the moment. Now we're gonna edit this particular shot. Let's do it.
Look at me now!
Philip Barantini's 2025 Netflix miniseries Adolescence is a masterclass in restrained, story-first cinematography. After 13-year-old Jamie Miller is arrested in connection with the stabbing of a classmate, this 4-part miniseries immerses the viewers in a fly-on-the-wall portrait, each episode unfolding in real time over a single day. Every movement is intentional, every frame meticulously planned and executed to perfection, almost as if it was rehearsed over and over again. That's because it was. Adolescence is a wonder. Every episode was shot in one take, and unlike other projects with a similar cinematic structure, such as Alejandro Inarritu's Birdman, or like the World War I Odyssey, 1917, which both employed stitched multiple takes to create the illusion of a wonder, Adolescence is a true start-to-finish, one-take masterpiece, from the top to the bottom. But is that the real story, or did they trick us, with the internet seemingly divided on if there were hidden cuts or not? Now, Netflix put out some promotional material on the behind the scenes, which paints the obvious picture that this indeed was a one-take masterpiece by design. But I think the bigger clue was the less than obvious camera choice to pull it off. At the time, the untested and unconventional Ronin 4D. And that's, I think...
Oh, really? They filmed this on the Ronin 4D? That's one of the cameras that it's definitely piqued my interest in the past. Because I was like, whoa, it's like it's a proper gimbal plus like, you know, cinema quality camera and stuff. I was like, damn. Obviously, I work with Nikon, but, you know, I wouldn't mind me a product like that.
Where the story begins. The fact this project was 100% shot on the Ronin 4D is evidence itself there was no deception. The unconventional choice could only mean one thing.
What's that?
They planned this from the beginning, and this was the right camera for the job. But the real story is the budding masters behind the camera, two of Britain's youngest in-demand camera operators right now, and at the center, 29-year-old British cinematographer Matthew Lewis. His
29.
work speaking for itself. At its release, Adolescence was Netflix's #1 most-watched series of all time with 144.8 million views. It's no surprise Adolescence was nominated for an Emmy in Best Cinematography. Wait. He won? And he's the youngest DP to win an Emmy for Best Cinematography?
Wow, that was a stressful wait.
Wow.
Get me my passport. I'm going back to London. Today I'm taking you on a deep dive with Matthew Lewis. Ahem. First-time Emmy Award winner Matthew Lewis and his camera operator Lee David Brown with the behind-the-scenes of the century. Adolescence, the miniseries that changed it all and sparked the one-take revolution. Today we'll explore the cinematic tricks they used.
Once we saw the window was sort of too...
Yo, I'm so hyped for this YouTube video. Damn. Also, I don't even know who this video is. I should subscribe. Make Art Now. His studio setup looked fantastic. What the hell, man? There are levels to this. We got to reach there someday. But yeah, this was such a technological marvel, I guess. Like, how do you do a one-take wonders like this?
Paint. You just take one pane out and leave the other pane in.
So one of them was put in digitally, and that was
CG glass.
The art of the handoff, and dissect the many, many nuanced details to pull this cinematic rabbit out of a hat.
What is this? Tell me the truth. Did you do it?
And of course, a deeper look at the Ronin 4D, the camera system that made it possible. How this DP leaned into every function it offered, mastered it, and then even created his own when they got into trouble.
What?
We rinsed the capabilities of this camera.
I'm really pumped for today's interview.
Now, as a Ronin 4D owner-operator myself, I don't think there's a production out there that's pushed this camera as hard as these two guys have. Special thanks to DJI, Cook Optics, and of course Cinegear Pro for sponsoring this video.
Put me in your shoes. How big of a project was this for you? It must be feeling incredible, right?
It feels extremely surreal. You just don't expect all of this to happen off of something that at the time felt like not a small project, but it felt like a real homegrown one.
I mean, for him, maybe.
No.
Well, why is that?
I think because everyone got along so well, and it just felt like a really lovely team. And so for some reason that made it not feel big.
Now, part of the reason why this all felt homegrown to Matthew was because he'd done the whole one-take project before. Twice.
You had worked with Philip Barantini before with a feature that was in the same one-take kind of thing?
That was, we did a short film of Boiling Point before that, kind of like the sort of proof of concept slightly. And then, I've got funding for the feature.
Because there's a million kids out there who would die for this fucking opportunity that you've been given.
Not only did Matthew DP both those projects, but strangely, his history with Barantini goes further back.
When he started out, he was a actor in Band of Brothers, basically, and wasn't getting as much larger acting gigs. Then he started chefing, and then he was chefing for years. I went to university, and I needed to cast my second year film, and we were on like Star Now or something, like one of the sort of like casting websites, and we asked him, and he said he'd do it, and we met him, and it was really great. We met him outside a restaurant that he was working in that night.
So you cast him in your short film for your university,
Wow.
and for no pay. For
So we offered pay, and then he was super lovely, and he just completed our crowdfunding, so kind of like cancelled out.
Yo, that's kind of crazy because I really like that actor. I feel like I've seen him in. Oh yeah, he's in Guy Ritchie films, right? I really like him. Wasn't he in Snatch at the very least? But the way they're making it sound like is he's like down on his luck, or working as a chef or something. Well, either way, I mean, like, man, that guy deserves all the awards. He was incredible.
Pay, as it were. Basically, what we were going to pay him was what he put into the project, so he just like cancelled it out.
See, now I love the guy even more. Like, this is incredible.
Whenever you're unsure, whenever it's 50-50, just say no comment. And if I think you should answer the question, I'll advise you so.
And then moving towards Adolescence, how did you guys come to that conclusion of this guy?
The priority of Adolescence was camera movement, I wanted it to move sort of smoothly and in a non-distracting way, something that can sort of take a back seat but can do everything that we needed to do. Like, I mean, the fact it can go into sport mode and be handheld, the fact that there's light that you hold it in front of you so you can hand it over to people, the fact that it can be controlled remotely, you name it, and like operating wise, it can kind of do it. And it's not always perfect in terms of what it opened for the story. It was massive.
And if we go back to the BTS of his last one-take shoot, Boiling Point, we can see just how large and cumbersome that setup was. And Adolescence would be a clear shift towards mobility with the Ronin 4D's smaller footprint.
Because we were like testing camera systems at the very start of prep on Adolescence, the camera package completely dictated, one, how we told the entire story, two, if there was needed, if we could have another operator, or even like, how could we do a drone? Like, could we do all these things? We don't know.
Were you guys just looking at YouTube videos of this beforehand?
The Civil War DP, Rob Hardy, the one that you had with him? Yeah, watch that.
Before?
Before. But actually, I don't know if I watched that until we had already...
Until you already had locked on it.
Yeah, and then, because we like played around with this camera, and then I was like, I need to learn more about it.
How did you guys meet then? What was that like the first time you guys met?
I always operate really when I can, and I'm quite critical, I guess. I just like operating a lot, so I knew I needed someone that could handle the notes. I asked around, and my grip, Pat Gillespie, he was like, I've just worked with this guy on a short film. He's a Steadicam op, Trinity op.
This is making me so, what's the word? Jealous is too strong of a word, but it increases my desire to be in this kind of film world. It's kind of cool. It's like, you work on a few projects and then someone word of mouth about your work, and then that leads to another opportunity. I really like that. And it sounds like, I mean, if you do a good job, you put yourself out there, but damn, look at the equipment that you're using. Okay, I got to step up my game with how I film stuff, because these are some legit stuff. And like, no one will take me seriously if I don't have practice with some of the equipment that you see here. So, all right, I got a mental note to myself.
He can read what's going to happen. Everywhere he was moving as a Steadicam, he's reading the scene essentially in a way that I admire. And I was like, give him a call.
Okay! Let's go. You'll be okay.
How many production days do you think total was the whole project then?
So we had 12 weeks of prep, which is masses of prep, but we knew we needed a lot of prep for it, as you can imagine. And then there was 12 weeks to shoot. So with 4 episodes, it was 3 weeks each. So you would do 2 weeks of like rehearsing and then a week to shoot. And then you move on to the next episode, 2 weeks of rehearse, a week to shoot.
So let's just talk about episode 1 here. That was 8 takes, 9 takes?
The one that we used was like the...
It was take 2.
Take 2, really. Yeah. It was like super early on.
Did you know that number 2 was in the bag, or were you like, oh, they're still warming up?
I remember afterwards you asking me how I felt it went, and I went, it's passable. I was like, it's passable. I was like, we've done okay. And I thought, we've got another 4 days of shooting. Yeah. So like, this is easy.
Let's go, Joe. Let's go.
Now, episode 1 does a really good job of onboarding the audience that this is going to be a oneer within the first minute of the story. As Matt would explain, this was shot on a GF8 crane jib arm mounted to an electric tracking vehicle, but the nuance of how they pulled this off is quite fascinating.
Okay, quick pause. You know what? This particular photo, I'm not like completely bought into it. There's not really a story here. So probably this one won't make the cut, like we have some other Banana Man shots coming up. Unless I do just like a close-up, maybe if it's just a close-up showing like the intricacies of how they've wrapped it up like this. That might be the best. So it could just be a cropping thing. But as far as like the shot itself, it's not really speaking to me much. So I'm leaning towards moving on, unless I can figure out a different crop. But the other problem I'm seeing here is that the photo itself is not sharp enough. And this is one of the issues I've definitely ran into when you're doing these like drive-by shootings. There's so much motion blur, there's so much bumpiness. So you try your best to get a clean shot. That's why I was shooting at, what did I say, 1/1600 of a second. But even then, you're dealing with I guess physics, I don't know. So the shot itself isn't really sharp enough for me to say like, okay, a close-up really tells a nice story. And I don't think it's worth The juice ain't worth the squeeze, as people say. So, all right, we're not gonna stick with that photo. However, this next one, I think I'm excited to test because now we get different angles. This one could be fun for a wide angle. I wonder if I have the behind the scenes of this. Let's see. I mean, I definitely have the Banana Man, but I wonder if oh no, so I don't have the exact moment. I just have the moment afterwards. So I must have quickly taken a photo, then hit record. Because we have this shot here as I was following. But I don't have... Oh, wait, hold on. I might have it still. Because these are like the cutout moments that I grabbed. Let's see. Nah, I don't have it. I don't have it. That's a shame. Okay, either way, let's keep editing this one.
So we start with it in my hands, then I click it into like a magnet mount. So it was like magnetically, it would like go into this mount and then we'd like turn it on. And
Was that custom made mount or was that?
In the end, it was. We made a slimmer version just because most of the episode we're carrying it.
So that was actually mounted like that underneath.
Very gently placed up into the, like rested against the magnet, then the magnet's turned on so it doesn't pull it in.
And where are you on this?
You're on the tracking vehicle.
Yeah, Matt's got the camera, he puts it in, and with our grip team, they switch on the magnet, etc., etc. And then Matt jumps into a vehicle to get around.
It's actually a get-ahead vehicle.
Yeah.
Into one of our unit drivers' vehicles who had full permission to go as fast as she needed to go.
Wow.
We like closed off the road, so she was like flying up the hill with me in the back. Me, our grip, Asher, and Boom Ops, I think it was.
In other words, while Lee and Key Grip Pat Gillespie operate the Ronin 4D and the jib arm on the tracking vehicle, Matt jumps in another car and races the long way around the backside of the residential neighborhood, beating the convoy so he can resume handheld operations on the front lawn.
At the top, and we'd wait behind like a picket fence kind of thing, like for
That's so
the
cool.
convoy to arrive up the road. And then as it came in, I sort of knew frame edge, so I'd like lead and I'd run in from the side of the image and then grab the camera without being in the image. And then arrived at the front and we got police officers, like a SWAT team basically, but like the UK version, like banging a door down and then going in.
So creative. For this shot, I'm kind of thinking that I prefer it at this angle. So for example, here I was just trying to like straighten it out, see what it looks like. But the thing is, even if I correct for the angle of the road, the roofs, you can see, belie, is that the right term? The roofs show you the actual, where the horizon is, right? So I don't think it makes sense to line it up based on the road. So it is better to keep with the angle of the road, and then the question just means, okay, so instead of using the road line, I should be looking at the roof line. And it looks pretty straight, but I'll just do slight adjustment. Okay. All right. So then here, where is the story? Obviously, we got the bike. The two bikes are the story for sure. The question is how much on the left and the right distracts or amplifies the story. So usually I have no strategy to this. I don't pretend to be someone who knows how to do this properly. The only way I know is I just need to see it visually. So that's what I mentioned the other day. I'll just kind of play with the crops. I look at the navigator panel to see kind of a quick thumbnail view to get a general sense if it's looking good. Why can't I expand this anymore? And then you can see here if I show the background behind the roof, I think it's a bit distracting. So it's like you either have to crop such that I have the roof, you see the mountain, green mountain all the way from start to finish, or I have to crop it where it's only red on the top. And I think that's probably best. I think cropping in makes the most sense. Question is how much. And then, yeah, so really I'm cropping to clean up. So like, for example, just earlier, you can see at the very edge, there's a bit of that bright yellow. You have an extra bit of the wall. So it's like if I can cut that out of the thing, so it's just like a clean red panel. Obviously there's a little sign here, but I usually don't like to do photo manipulation like that in terms of like, you know, removing the poster and all that. We keep it as natural as possible. Where I manipulate tends to be on like the light, where the light's coming from, stuff like that. Okay, so maybe, and then the only issues, I don't think, we'll see. Yeah, so if I can crop from the right. Okay, so now it is a bit of a tight, so now I got a bit of a tight framing, but we did remove a lot of the distraction, a lot of the noise in the background around it. The only thing now is we see we see an additional person on the far right side, and then we have this white poster that stands out on the left. But you know what? That's acceptable. We're in, it's like a city street shot, right? Or not city, it's like a street shot, so it's gonna be a bit chaotic. I think this is an acceptable amount of distraction. It's a bit tight on the crop, but I think, you know what? We'll stick with this. Let's see what we can do. All right, let's keep watching.
And storming this residential house, and we go in and there's like a fairly normal looking family, and then like they run upstairs and we don't know who they're looking for, and then they find this young boy and they say like target found type thing, and you're like, why on earth are they arresting this young kid?
6:15 a.m. and I'm arresting you on suspicion of murder.
Man,
During all this, we were like, too many.
I think I need to rewatch this show. The show is damn good. Like, I mean, it's like a heavy topic, but the acting and the concept is so crazy.
Many handoffs, or we were like, not enough handoff. We could have snuck in a few more.
It wasn't about the handoff quantity, it was more about where they were being used. And if it, like, one, how are our arms feeling? Like, are we struggling physically? And then two, like, is it useful? Can we do something cool? Basically was like, you know, something interesting with the camera.
With episode 1, there's probably about 12 to 14 handovers, I think, over the whole episode. Because you've got the first handover, which is onto the arm. Then Matt takes it off, he goes into the house, he comes back out, he then passes it to me in the custody vehicle, and then he gets headed once again.
I'm so glad they filmed the behind the scenes of that, or they had cameras for that.
He then passes it to me in the custody vehicle.
It's kind of funny to think, but like, because of the way they filmed all of it, I feel like the better story is the behind the scenes of the story. You know what I mean? Like, I'm more excited to see if they did a single take of the behind the scenes of how they did the single take scenes. You know what I mean? This is a crazy amount of orchestration.
And then he gets headed once again in another vehicle to take it out into the police station.
Right,
and then it's passed over again many times during the episode.
What I found
This
really
one looks
interesting
good.
was that
I think we'll
there
keep this one
wasn't a
probably.
moment
Future King.
where the cinematography overshadowed the story.
The reason as well that we wanted the gimbal instead of handheld is to try and make it less about what the camera is doing. Even though weirdly it's all about what the camera's doing, we never want to feel the presence of an operator. You never want to feel the decision of the filmmaker to show something and not show something else. Like you're editing the whole time. So if we're having this conversation, you know, I'm gonna be saying something, but maybe I actually want to be on your reaction. And it's knowing where you want to be the whole time, so that there's no point where the audience goes, oh, I want to be seeing that other thing, or like I want to know what's going on over there. Like always assessing to be like, what is the thing that we need to see now?
I didn't do it.
That's not to do with me, Jamie. Just try and answer my questions, please, son.
A good example is when Matt was in the medic's room in episode 1, you hear Jamie being strip searched off camera.
I will be very careful.
I don't know you from Adam, mate.
We had the logistical issue of the fact that there's a child undressing in theory, so we had to like not show that too.
How did Steven feel about that choice?
He's like, yeah, I'll give you something. You know, and then obviously what he gives is like incredible.
Okay, and if
Oh,
I can
that
just
was
ask
the
you to
dad.
lift up your penis, I need to make sure that there's no defensive wounds on your scrotum.
This one particular shot choice to hold onto Stephen Graham's face while the sound of his character's son is strip searched lasts approximately 2 minutes of screen time, which is an extremely bold choice, but a powerful one. In forcing the audience to endure the discomfort in real time, this scene lingers long after the episode concludes.
You all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you sure?
How much was his involvement? Because he was also a producer on this, right? Mm-hmm. How much was his day-to-day involvement on it, or was very much actor brain, actor hat? Like I'll stay in my lane.
He doesn't necessarily stay in his lane because he's got a lot of energy on set. Like he loves it. Like he just loves it. He's doing his thing as well, but like he's sat there in conversations with Phil and with Jack the writer, and they're all working out together because he also co-wrote it as well. So he's like,
wow.
he's across the story a lot. The lines for sure a little bit blurred, but he doesn't do it in a way that doesn't give people a chance to do their job.
He's really into just whatever will elevate the story. I think Stephen was amazing at kind of working with us, I guess, to make sure the camera could get to where it needed to, but also so we could see what we needed to see at the right time.
We could have sent someone more junior here.
Episode 2, in the school, detective enters the classroom, and then there's like this insane non-cut transition out the window. How is that done?
Take the glass out and just hand through. Like once we saw the window was sort of 2 pane, we would just take one pane out and leave the other pane in.
So one of them was put in digitally, and that was
CG glass.
And then who was the camera
It's so
operator on
crazy.
the front end and on the receiving end then?
So there's a conversation with Bascom and Frank outside where I'm operating there, and then I pass the camera through the railings to our third operator, James, who...
Oh, there's 3 of you.
In that episode, yeah.
Now, originally, James was the camera operator for the drone section later in this episode.
I know there's more.
Yo.
Because of Matt's injury on his knee, he was unable...
Umar Naeem. Thank you very much. Thanks for the sub over on the YouTube side. I appreciate it. We are multi-streaming on YouTube, Twitch, and Kick, and I'm just currently you're watching me edit some of my photos from Uganda. We're gonna get to the gorilla photos. I don't know if I work faster than I am now, maybe today, but probably tomorrow. These are just shots from the road, and I want to do a good job with some of these. And in the meantime, I'm watching some random YouTube video, but man, this video is so gripping to me because it's the behind the scenes of how they shot that Emmy Award-winning show Adolescence. So usually I like watching things that are around filmmaking because that is kind of the direction I want to go. I want to become a proper filmmaker. I want to learn how to do more of these like travel, documentary style stuff, or anything really, storytelling. So anyways.
able to do the running section, which was what was meant to happen.
Since I
What happened
paused,
is
I think the direction, because I was looking through all my presets to give some inspiration, I think the direction I want to take is muting some of the colors. So I do think the green makes a lot of sense to maintain, right? It's the subject, it's the main subject of the shot. So I do think I'm going to either increase the saturation or retain the saturation on the green. And then the other dominant color throughout is the red. And so I'm trying to see if I want to keep red and green since they are, what are they called? Like complementary colors in a sense. So I'm thinking either I will retain both the red and the green and then start muting a bit of the other colors to clean it up, or I'm going to mute everything except for the greens. I'm not sure yet, so we're gonna play around with that. Yo, we got Cyronius saying hi, Stinky. Damn, dude, you can smell from there. Good to see you, Cyronius. Happy Tuesday. Hope you are doing well. I'm just doing the normal thing here, just editing away on this shot. And I was mentioning, but this video I'm watching right now, it's actually pretty interesting. It's, what's the guy's name? The YouTube channel is called Make Art Now. And he got to interview the DP of Adolescence. And it's kind of cool watching this where they're breaking down how did they do those, how did they film all these episodes in a single take, right? And so we're learning a bit of how they use some CGI sometimes, or the handoffs that they had to do for the craziness. Oh man, it's like fascinating to me. But yeah, anyways, happy Tuesday to you too, Cyronius.
instead is that Matt asked James.
Cyronius, excuse me. Since you're here, quick question: how often do you do photo walks? Is this like, do you schedule your streams around it, or do you like always have a set amount of days you're going out to do like photo shoots outside? Tasty. Oh, also my cat. One of my cats is hanging out with us today. We got Kimpop in the house. Look at them whiskers. Good boy. And then is Nala here? Oh, both of them are here. Okay. All right, we're just a full house today. Once a month, I've got one this weekend. Awesome. You know, I'm going to do my best to watch it. I know I've apologized in the past, but I do want to hop onto your streams. It's just usually my it's kind of hard to do halfway across the world, but that's not a good enough excuse, man. So I would love to hop in. If it's over the weekend, I think, especially my sleep schedule, I think I should be able to. It's organized with the Austin Photo Walkers. Okay. Cool stuff, man. All right, let's keep watching this. Let me edit this
help us
one.
with this section, because there was no other way of us being able to get to the next part of the chase section. Then basically, I pass the camera to James through the railing. James leads Bascom into the building, and while he's doing that, I'm running around the outside of the building to the other side, the outside of the window. And then James follows them into the room, and then he basically passes the camera back out to me, and I run with the two characters.
Insane.
And then,
You know what it is? I think I do want to keep the red of the guy's shirt juxtaposed against the green of the bananas, and then the rest of the red, I think it's fine to be somewhat muted. So we'll just kind of keep the colors on the subject. That's it. Cyrone says, look at me go with an Instagram link. Oh, okay. Let me click on the Instagram link after I'm done with this photo, just because I'm recording this right now. So I was like, oh shoot, I'm kind of distracting myself. I can always cut it out. You know what? No, let's look at the Instagram thing. I can always cut it out. I forgot. Instagram link. Let's copy the link address. All right, what did you send me? Join. Oh yeah, I'm not logged in here. Can I still look at it? What the heck? Wait, so if I'm not logged into Instagram, this is this is the view they give me? That's kind of annoying. Well, they give, I guess it's like the metadata. That's cool. Okay, well, let me see if I can open this up from my actual other browser. Okay. Now, let's bring this over. Let's go explore Moeller Lake Park and the Texas Farmers Market. Nice, nice. This was your, oh no, this is the trek you're gonna do. Okay. Was this your photos too then, you're saying, or what? Either way, that's cool, man. Man, I'm so jealous that you have a community like that. I mentioned this on one of my earlier streams, or like maybe last week. There are some communities out here in Dubai. I'm just not a part of any of them. Slightly by choice, but slightly, I don't know. I don't get that. It doesn't feel as welcoming in Dubai from a photography community standpoint, in my opinion. Everyone's treated me well, and like, you know, it's been cool, but I don't know, like my fellow photographer peers tends to, I've always gotten this feeling of like, not real animosity, but more of like, I don't know. It's hard to say. I created a tool for the map. I think you shared with me one of the tools that you had built that like maps everything every time you take a photo. Okay, let me just keep working on this as we talk. It's annoying to use any online resources for it, so I made my own. Yeah, I mean, listen, you're on another level with that. Okay, let's keep watching this.
Matt is on a tracking vehicle.
And now, was that the most complicated sequence, you think, of handoffs and?
For handoffs, probably was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the most fast pace in terms of you've got that
Back to
moment
back.
to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, the handing over onto the tracking vehicle.
Yeah, we rehearsed a few times.
Outrageous. I could see Lee coming out with the two characters coming out from the side of the school. We start rolling up the hill in the electric tracking vehicle that's kind of like silent and sort of like coming up the hill. And then there's like a fence and then a lamppost.
Yeah.
We've got like a 5-second window of handing this camera over. But every time we were doing it, you were handing it over later and later because we were getting more confident at like the kind of smoothness that we're trying to smooth out that transition. And honestly, the take that we used and some of the surrounding takes, we are like that far from the lamppost. Like and that's when you're running full pelt. We're now getting up to speed on the vehicle, and I'm like snatching the camera off you last second before the lamppost is there. We were like, if we think that we can't get the handover done before the lamppost, you're gonna have to keep the camera, go around the lamppost and try again. Because if that's smacked the lamppost, that's a camera done, really, because it's just gonna be a big impact.
Now there's one technical camera thing that Matt and Lee did in the sequence that as a Ronin 4D user, I spotted instantly.
Sit the fuck down! What the fuck are you doing?
Right here.
Come here.
Did you catch it?
No.
They switched the gimbal.
Let's watch it again.
Now there's one technical camera thing that Matt and Lee did in the sequence that as a Ronin 4D user, I spotted instantly.
Sit the fuck down! What the fuck are you doing?
Right here.
Come here.
Did you catch it?
Well, it gets shaky.
They switched the gimbal settings mid-scene.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. So they went from, yeah, because it's like stabilized and then it's like very shaky.
That was the best execution of sport mode. You are now making the audience feel what the characters are feeling. And he grabs them, it suddenly switches from 4D stabilized to
aggressive. Because that switch was like so, like with something, with an action, with like that grab. And so I was okay with that one feeling like a real shock. You know, like you're shaking the audience, and like that's what it wanted to feel like. So
now, for those of you who don't own this camera, don't understand what we're talking about, the DJI Ronin 4D has a sport mode that essentially locks the pan and tilt instantly while the gimbal is fully stabilized in 4D mode. You can toggle it on or off by holding the mode button down on the left hand grip.
It's not an advertised function. Was this something that you guys were finding in the rehearsals as well?
Because the camera could do it, it only came along once we knew what camera we were using. But then I didn't know that if you double pressed it, it stayed in that mode. I was like holding it with my hand, but then I'm like,
bro, I've been using this for 5 years. I didn't even know that.
So I was like thinking, we're gonna need to like manufacture, but then I'm like,
bro,
if you double pressed it, it stayed once we knew what camera we were using. But then I didn't know that if you double pressed it, it stayed in that mode. I was like holding it with my hand, but then I'm like,
bro, I've been using this for 5 years. I didn't even know that.
So I was like thinking, we're gonna need to like manufacture a little like button thing
that can lock it,
that can lock it in place like an idiot, and then and I'm looking through the manuals and stuff, and I'm like, oh, there's got to be like, maybe there's no way, and then it's just like double tap. The second we found that, immediately I was like, oh my god, in the police raid we locked the gimbal in sport mode for that whole thing, so it just feels handheld. It's handheld without the roll, which is kind of like the bit of handheld you don't want anyway, so it's pretty great. I think there's a moment in the medical room for the strip search. Steven's character gets a little bit angry at one of the officers, and I just for a moment hold that down. I just go, ooh, and then back, and then we go again, and it's just like this little bit of rage that's translated into the camera, and it's just a really nice kind of, you feel that as an audience, but you'll never think about it, ideally, apart from now.
Now, this doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but for a one-take production, it's a very powerful tool.
And then the other one in Fatima's character like comes through the crowd, and I'm like, smooth, 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 and then I try and time the sport mode with the hit of the punch. And like, I'm fairly sure we got it most times. And it's like, bang, blah, 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 it's all crazy, crazy, crazy. And then at some point, I just sort of ease off, drift into gimbal. You've got this transition. We just never notice it as an audience member, you know, but you feel it. And that's the whole point. You're just feeling these things, not cognizant.
Tell me when to say no!
It's probably the single biggest accidental find that elevated the cinematography to a whole other level. And it was used peppered into every episode, including the episode that was ultimately submitted and won Matt his first Emmy.
Such a unique storytelling device to be able to go from gimbal to handheld without cutting. It's, you know, I mean, there's other systems of doing it, but they're all like heavy systems.
Talk to me about the drone sequence, that handoff. It looked like there was some custom magnetic.
It wasn't a magnet. It was a different mount to the magnet that we used in episode 1. So in episode 2, it was a shot dock mount, is what it's called, made by Grip House. It's essentially like a metal ball and like a claw sort of mount.
Is it like a button act that kind of opens
the crown that looks like a little claw is on the camera the whole time. It's doing this.
I see.
A drone held by 2 of our grips would like come over my head, obviously not switched on.
Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's also like chop my head off as it comes over. I lift the camera up into, like the claw goes around the ball, and he releases the lever and it slots over and it locks it in place.
In this case, you can see the grip on the right physically presses what looks like a cabled brake lever, which pulls the locking pin into the open position. And then when Matt places the camera into the position, he releases the cable and the lock slides down.
Once it's locked in really gently again, because it doesn't like click in, it's kind of perfect. It just like floats up into it and then locks over. I like let go of the weight. While I do that, I think I change modes.
Into lock.
Oh, I take off of 4D mode, so it mounts this because we found it didn't need to be in 4D mode for the flight. I lock the gimbal so that it's not affected by the movement of the body. All while that's happening, James is ready on the wheels. Yeah. And he's connecting to the camera. And the beautiful thing about the relationship between the wheels and the camera is that when they connect, it doesn't freak out. It doesn't like reset or like calibrate or something. It's like you've just got control.
Wow. After the handoff, the drone takes off. It's up in the air, flies a couple 100 feet. Who does the pickup there? Or
I attach it to the drone and I also take it off. You can see the van with the crew in going into the car park. As the camera flies over towards the car park, a white van comes hurtling down the road, like way too fast, and then like turns into the car park. And that's me, that's 2 grips that catch the drone, that's sound team as well, and my focus puller and my variable ND puller. Like we're all there underneath the drone initially, and then we have to get into the car park.
Okay, let's recap because this is getting dense. So after Lee hands the camera off to James, the 3rd camera op, and James hands it back to Lee through the window, which ensues the chase, James has about 6 minutes to work his way to the front of the school before he takes control of the gimbal on the master wheels. Meanwhile, Lee hands off to Matt on the transport vehicle. Matt exits the transport vehicle. Then, while filming this scene, the transport vehicle heads over to meet James by the side of the school. Matt finishes this walk and talk, then this car scene, at which point the 2 grips fly in with the drone. Once connected, Matt ducks away into the white van. Meanwhile, James, strapped to the back of the transport vehicle, takes control of the gimbal on the wheels. And on the front of the transport vehicle is pilot Aaron Cole from Helicopter Girls. Starts the rotors for the Alta 8, and the 2 of them follow Matt and the rest of the camera department to the landing area, 0.3 miles down the street, while controlling the drone and gimbal.
Man, wow.
Aaron, the pilot's unbelievable, going down the road, and they stay underneath the drones, they're never in shot. And it comes down into the car park, and then as it's coming down lower and lower, 2 grips, we've got Asher and Ben, and they like come in either side of me, and I come in the middle. They catch the drone by the legs, the blades turn off. They keep walking towards where Stephen is, and as they do, I come in underneath the drone, and then they detach to the camera, and then I walk towards Stephen and get into that close-up where I turn around into his face at the end.
Now, despite this insanely challenging and well-executed set of scenes, this wasn't even the episode that would ultimately win Matt his Emmy for Best Cinematography. Now, unlike episode 2, episode 3 is slow and methodical. It only takes place at one location. It has no handoffs. Sequentially, it was the first episode they had shot of the 4.
You okay?
Yes? Hi, Jamie.
This is the only episode that it was you the entire time. There was no handoff.
No. So it's a very contained episode, and it was the scariest one because it was like the easiest one for everyone else apart from creatively. Filming that in a oneer was kind of this giant puzzle of making it work and not feel like we are being limited by the format. Typically a oneer works really well when you're moving. To sit people down in a room and then try and work out how to cover that in a oneer was, and it was the first one we'd done, so there was no warm-up. So I was just like, this was the scariest episode. For me, I was like, oh, the other 3 will be great. This episode might fall flat. Now I'm like, this is my favorite. Because what we got was so cleanly done by everyone. Like the performances are unbelievable, and all the moves make sense.
Hold that thought for just a second. What's interesting about episode 3, it takes place entirely inside Production Park, specifically Studio 5, their newest flagship stage with over 14,000 square feet. This is the same studio where the police station from episode 1 was built. And because of the show's one-take format, both sets required a large footprint. Nothing could be parted out and shot independently like you'd have in a normal studio set. Everything had to exist as one continuous navigable space. Even more amazing, both sets were built simultaneously next to each other, and fitting 2 fully continuous but separate environments into a single stage was a complex spatial puzzle. Production built, rehearsed, and shot over the course of 6 months, constructing a detailed interconnected set with multiple interior zones and a separate exterior extension, all designed to support seamless movement in the one-take format. But what stands out most of this episode is the cinematography, which in this episode there were no handoffs. It was one 50-minute take shot entirely by Matthew himself.
Don't worry, we're not going to make you wear this again.
Thank you.
Here,
appreciate it.
For some of the sequences and the entirety of episode 3, they used the Tilta float system to offload the weight of the Ronin 4D, using it with a quick release system as well as with some custom padding for the 50-minute takes.
So we had like a pad all the way up the back here to like foam it out. At some point, eventually, that digs in there. Right. You know what I mean? Like it's fine for short takes, but if you're on it for a while, it's pretty gross. So we just like padded the hell out of the back of it. The vest like was resting on my hips. It was kind of the best place for it to rest. Instead of it pushing down on your arms, it's pushing into your back. Like that's the point of it, but still for an hour, it's a lot.
I mean, I can see the form factor. You can easily fit through doorways.
Small enough, like if you used a bigger Steadicam arm or something, it's gonna like build it out and it's all gonna add weight. So this is like the lightest kind of solution to just take the weight off of my arms and move it somewhere else.
With this thing, do you even need the 4th axis for a lot of this? Sometimes you can see it activate in frames.
But in episode 3, I mean, like when it's moving really slowly, because that's the bit, because like for the sprinting stuff, 100%, the brilliant thing is that you can do the 4D mode and then it does just track it wonderfully. But when you're moving like up close to someone, you're right, where it's doing those small adjustments up and down, like sometimes you feel that a little bit. But we just tuned it enough, I think. It behaved itself in episode 3.
Well, you must have views on men and women. How does your dad treat your mum?
The lighting on that one was really complicated. Why was it so complicated?
It was because we're spinning around a table and we're seeing the room in its entire 360 view. Everything had to be dressed in, so every practical was wired into, like it was DMX'd into a lighting desk, so we had control of absolutely everything, and we utilized that control.
So episode 3 had the most complicated lighting of all 4 episodes. Despite it being indoors and in one location, it had an estimated 40 live DMX tunable lights tied to specific lines of dialogue in order to simulate weather cues.
From really early on, it was like we need to work out how we light a table without having shadows everywhere. We had like a softbox above our skylight, which was over the table. If you notice, the sun's coming in real steep. We're in like a studio, and we didn't have much space in the studio, so outside is like, there's about like 5 foot, and then there's a wall there, so we really didn't have a lot of room to work with. So we had like a Nanolux coming in steep that was giving us like a hard shaft of light, and then there was weather changes as well, which we wanted to put in to sort of give this very slow sort of like mood change. I can't remember which Nanolux it was, but the lamp we use is a hard sun. You're able to control via DMX the flood of the lens of the light.
Lucky for us, Matt kept his lighting diagram from gaffer Max Hodgkinson. The key light was mostly top down with 8 Airy Sky Panels S60s rigged to the ceiling, as well as 4 Vortex 8s in softboxes angled slightly towards Jamie. The fill of the room would be handled with 24 Astera Titan tube LEDs in pairs of 2 on either sides of the room. But that was the easy stuff. To simulate sun peaking.
Okay. I like the shot. This one feels a bit cooler for me in terms of like a story. So we're definitely keeping this one. So I cropped in. So just a recap wise, let's see. We'll go back to this one. We'll just take the cropping, duplicate, and then I want to reset everything and just retain the crop. Okay. So this was the original shot. Cropped in. Put it through my own presets. And then I put it through Dehancer, added a bit more of a film look, and then I did some edits on top of it. So for the most part, I just kept the colors, but I muted slightly the other colors besides anything that was more in the red and the green tones. But yeah, nothing too fancy with it. Just framing it in a way that you've got like these 2 bikes mirroring each other. Obviously, the one in the front is in focus and is the main subject. But there's just enough detail. And I think one thing I've been enjoying about applying this kind of a graininess to the shots is it does add a bit of texture. So even if it's, you know, pretty blurry, the grain almost adds back some of the sharpness, if you will. So we've got cool character in the front with his basket of, or the bike full of bananas. But then even in the background, there's something going on that seems somewhat interesting. You can't make it out, and you shouldn't fully make it out, but there's just enough of a chaos going on in the other side, other direction. And it looks like the 2 bikes are almost kissing each other. So it's like a nice little passing of, yeah, we're catching it right before they pass each other, let's say. 2 lives going in different directions. How about that? So there could be a thematic element to this, maybe, if I really want to bullshit it. But otherwise, no, I think it's a cool shot. I like the red and the green. So there we go. Cool. But, man, do I work slow. Let me change this color to purple. No, dang it. I missed it. Change color. Purple. Okay. All right, next shot. We still got Banana Man. But now we get it from the behind point of view. So the backside, and the bananas are a lot more textured and clear. So I've got 3 of these photos to choose from. I'm kind of leaning towards this one. It's a bit farther away, but obviously I'll do some cropping. It's the cleanest in terms of like almost directly behind the bike, whereas these ones are at angles. However, the colors and the sharpness is better here, and there's better separation from the subject and the background. So this one's a bit harsher. Which one of you should I work on? Also, this one's a bit blurrier. This one's maybe slightly sharper. All right, well, I'm going to start with this one and we'll see if we stick with it.
Into the room, multiple pairs of high-powered LEDs were assigned for each false window. The Velvet Cosmos LED, which has a motorized DMX controllable Fresnel, could change the beam angle on cue and was used for the hard shaft of light that would spill onto the floor, while each opening of the window frame itself would be blasted with a Cream Source Vortex 8 high-powered LED panel, also with DMX controls. All 10 of these in combination across the multiple windows would work seamlessly and unnoticeably to add slight variations of intensity, diffusion, and spill to simulate sun passing over clouds.
So you're able to go from a hard light and then like flood it and it softens it, which was great. So we used that for like the sun going, the visible kind of shaft of sun going into overcast. So when that change happens, you've got that, you've also got like the level changing in the softbox as well.
When you were moving around, did you have to dim the key light
so there's
from
like
the window?
2 levels of control. There's the shape of light changing as we do the episode. So the entire episode, I'm essentially circling around the table.
Yeah.
I only changed direction once, like at the end, basically, and that was to signify like the changing of direction in the conversation. So I'm like spinning one way, and if we had left the softbox in kind of a neutral position, you would have ended up with kind of like shadows under the eyes. It would have felt undynamic. You would have lost any sort of interesting shape on the face. It wouldn't have felt like you want it all this to be slightly backlit, right? Just a little bit. So, or at least 45 degrees. Without changing anything, it would have felt flat all the way around. As the camera is rotating around, and essentially as we pass around the back of, say, Erin or Owen's head, the key side in the softbox would change slightly. So like the level would come down on one side and lift up on the other side. And it just moves it across so that then for that next 180 degrees, it's in the right place so that it looks really nice on the face. And that would happen all the way around. So every time we pass around their heads, there's the level changing up and down, essentially. We split it, we had like a north, a south, and east, the west side. And we would be like, okay, so like in this section, when we pass that person's head, the south side is going to come up slightly. And like, but that would all be cued in. So by the time we get to the actual shooting of the episode, it would just be a button press from one cue to the next because we've set all the levels and we know all the moves at that point. There's no room for me to change, like ad-lib my moves. Suddenly, if I start going a different way or moved too soon, like because a lot of the cues were on dialogue lines, then the lighting cue would be missed. And that was the best place to hide those transitions. The light out the window came down when my back was facing it as a camera so that I didn't cast a shadow on the cast as well. Yeah. So there's all sorts of...
I mean, I'm bringing it up because no one will ever know that you did that.
No.
Because it's invisible.
Yeah, it should be.
But it's probably one of the most technical things.
It was a lot to remember for everyone involved. It was just a lot to, make sure we also did it subtly enough that it doesn't feel like there's a hurricane outside, It's like, it's just constantly trying to work out, making sure that the change is feelable, but not like visible, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know if it was Max or somebody in his team. They put lights within the computer units and in the walls.
In that main interview room, there's a bank of monitors on one side, and underneath the monitors, like computer monitors, there's like the body of the computer. Each one of them has like a fan part of it, right? Like to cool the unit. So in one of them, Matt Jazz, one of our sparks, he pulled out the internals of the computer, and there was like an aperture, brick light, eye light or something, put into the fan. When we had passed that light and wouldn't cause a shadow, but it was like kind of behind us pointing at Owen, he was the one that we were struggling with our eye light the most. That light would dim up and give him a tiny little twinkle in his eye, just a little bit, enough that when it's like the heaviest overcast look that we did, you make sure you still retain that little twinkle so you can see the soul in there, you know? And then as we come around, it just like dims down. So it's like a light in a computer. It's like, if you look closely, you could probably see the computer unit is like tipped up slightly, but put like a wedge underneath it, but you would never notice that, you know? So it's about knowing what you can get away with and what the audience is gonna ever notice.
Mr. and Mrs. Miller, my name's Paul Barlow. I'm from Story in French. I've been allocated Jamie's case.
The other time they used a similar idea was in episode 1 in the family room. There's a notice board with loads of A4 pieces of paper. And because we're in a studio, they basically cut out the wall behind the piece of paper and put another aperture light in. So when we're in the room with Mark Stanley, who plays the lawyer, where he's talking to the family, as the camera comes round to look at him, that light dims up and uses the paper as diffusion, basically.
It just comes through the wall, essentially. It's so good.
While episode 4 had less handoffs than episodes 1 and 2 and didn't demand the rigorous lighting setups of episode 3, it wasn't without its own set of challenges.
What other peripherals did you guys test out? Did you guys use the gyro?
Yeah, we used that. Was it only once? I feel like it was
twice.
What was the other time?
They're both in episode 4. So the first time was you were heading down the stairs. They're quite steep stairs. Matt's trying to look at his footing and go down the stairs and follow Stephen out the door. And then it's a very quick tilt up from looking, you know, almost directly down. So while he's making sure he doesn't die down the stairs, I'm just taking over just to tweak the headroom slightly.
To further explain, gyro mode is with the wireless monitor. When paired and enabled, it uses the IMU, which is bundled with gyroscopes and accelerometers to turn the monitor itself into a virtual joystick.
The point where it was most useful was right at the end of episode 4.
You're doing the bit where you lead Christine back into the house, and then she starts breaking down slightly at the bottom of the stairs, and it's a little emotional beat with her, and then she starts going up the stairs. We could just walk up the stairs behind her, but then like you've got like someone's back, like the back of their head or their legs. Stairs go up in a sort of U shape, so in the middle there's a gap. You come into the house, and as you turn away from like the lounge area, the grips slide a mini staircase made of apple boxes across the carpet underneath you by your feet. And then you're like stepping up onto it as you then go up higher and higher with the camera following up. And as you do that, I'm leaned over the banister at the top of the stairs, grabbing it by the top handle and pulling it up like one-handed, like an idiot, onto the upstairs landing.
And so while we're doing that, our trainee Divine is outside with one of the high bright monitors. We've got it set so that she can tweak the headroom.
Where you can change the speed of the tilt or pan, just 0, 0, but then like tilt had speed, clicked it on, and then we're just to be adjusting the headroom on the fly, which is a mad role of responsibility for our trainee, but they're all just so fantastic. And then she would do that for that section, and then I bring it around behind her into the room, and as I do that, she clicks off the gyro, and then it's all mine again.
Despite production using the same exact camera and lens for each episode, the rigging of that camera for each episode differed, demonstrating the bespoke requirements for each shoot. With the shared goal of keeping the Ronin 4D as light as possible for these extremely long takes, some trade-offs had to be made. One that struck me as a little odd was why keep the LiDAR module rigged to the camera if you have a dedicated First AC focus puller. That was until I took a closer look at this replay. That's First AC Sean Beasley, and he's pulling focus while sprinting after talent and camera.
Wow.
This is really useful for focus. But my focus puller was using it, because it's like so good. Like you're seeing a top-down view of the scene essentially. I mean, he's focus pulling for an hour. Like anything he can get that gives him more information is great, and it's displayed on his monitor.
So they rigged the Ronin 4D with the LiDAR sensor for every episode, not for autofocus, but to give First AC Sean Beasley a LiDAR depth map as an overlay on his wireless monitor to assist him with focus pulling.
Even with him pulling, like we tried autofocus. I think it's really great, but occasionally there's the risk of it pulling to the wrong thing.
I mean, could you imagine losing a take? Because
and like it can't know for an hour to get exactly the right, you know, and like, there were moments that you could use it. We thought about maybe like some of the running sequences when Sean, my focus puller, was like running with us. But even then it was better that he was doing it just in case, that the human error was more manageable than the computer error, which is like a really quick focus pull from like here to like the background, and then it's all ruined, you know.
Fun fact, Sean also dressed up as a SWAT member in the episode 1 raid scene so he could be closer to camera and pull focus without the risk of dropping the signal. Serious MVP to this guy.
Wow. Man, these guys are all so like top-notch talent.
As a Ronin 4D owner myself, there is one section of the show that stuck out as a significant challenge to the Oneer format, hidden in plain sight, going from outside to inside and inside to outside, without a noticeable exposure change. As powerful as the Ronin 4D is, it has one trade-off. The internal 9-stop ND is not stepless, it's mechanical. While this means it produces a more color-accurate result than cameras with internal variable NDs, it also means when you need to stop down with ND, it looks like, well, which is a problem if you're a oneer. And then they retrofitted this. The Tilta Mirage Wireless ND.
Broken down to like its smallest form.
With the Nano.
The original handset.
Tilta Mirage Wireless ND. Yo, I gotta add this to my list. We're talking about like, man, it'd be great if I have if you could have like a nice ND filter system that could automatically change when you go from indoors to outdoors. Because then that was where the Sony FX6 was mentioned, how it's got like a built-in ND, like an auto ND feature. What is this? Tilta Mirage Wireless ND something. Hold on, let's see that again.
Mirage Wireless ND. And then they retrofitted this.
Tilta Mirage Motorized Variable ND kit. Holy crap, though, it's $600. Well, either way, I'll look into it.
The Tilta Mirage Wireless ND.
Broken down to like its smallest form.
With the Nano.
The original handset works great as well, but that one gave us a tiny bit more range. It could get through walls a little bit better. But this guy, insane. It gave us like 4 or 5 stops of exposure.
That's probably like the most pivotal thing.
Yeah.
Because
huge.
you're going from outside to inside and then back to outside, even with 15 stops at dynamic range.
This photo
that's not
is
enough.
bananas.
With this camera, we did loads of testing, so we knew that the highlight roll-off was fairly like, manageable for us to grade. You know, we did like some...
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. I like your comedy, man. The way this guy is riding his bike, bananas, yeah. I don't actually know how I don't know what direction I'm taking with this current edit style or this whatever approach I'm taking here. I just wanted to... I don't know what I wanted. I'm not actually even sure if this is the right perspective. Whatever. Let's see how it looks in Dehancer. I'm going with a bit of a dark look. It's a bit too faded over on the right side. So I might go back and redo this part and remove that fade. But first I wanted to see how it looks in Dehancer. So once we apply Dehancer on top, perhaps it actually will look okay. Basically, I made it very faded and flat, so you don't really see too much of the vignetting. And then my hope was that once I slap Dehancer on top, it'll give it like a clean, flat canvas to work on top of. So let's see. Let's see. These are just some of the presets that I've used in the past. I quite like the bloom effect for sure. So I think I want to retain something like this where you get a bit of a bounce of light across some of these bananas. Your lighting with mask is countering the natural light, so it doesn't mentally make sense to me. Yeah, that's what I was actually, I don't know if you caught it, but earlier I was adding I was shaping the light in the opposite direction of where the sun was. And I caught it and I was like, oh shoot, okay. So I was trying to course correct and then I went in another I course corrected a few times and then I deviated off the path. One would say I was on my own 10-year odyssey. I'm trying to find my way back to reality here. Yeah, because here you can see obviously the sunlight because from the shadows here, sun is supposed to be on the left side. So the good thing about this one particular preset I've got, it does accentuate the lighting across the bananas and the subject. So I don't know, I might end up sticking with that, but I like to recreate and see if I can find something else as we go. Fujicolor Natura. This one's clean. Superior. Okay, we'll go with I tend to like this one, but let's just keep looking. All right, let's go with this one, just to switch things up. Kodak Ektar 100. I'll apply the film compression. And let's slap on the print. Ooh, so this one does look nice with the Kodak Endura glossy paper. as is. Let's see what it looks like with the Kodak 2383. I like the colors on this one, Kodak 2383, and I also like the Fujifilm one. Now this is just a stylistic choice, right? So what is my heart telling me? I think I'm leaning towards this Fujifilm. Let's go with this Fujifilm look. And then I'm going to change up some other features here, including maybe increasing the color density slightly. On the compression, I mentioned this on the previous stream. When it comes to using Dehancer for video, I tend to slide the tonal range slider all the way to 100 and then bring back the white point essentially. But for photo edits, I haven't been doing it as much. So I don't know if the tonal range works as effectively when I'm editing like single, like still images. But let's still play with it a little bit and see what we can get. I do want to reflect a lot of this white. I want a lot of light bouncing off the banana tips and then the back of his shirt. So I don't want to flatten the image too much. I do want a bit of like that shine. I'm just going to look at the rest of the image. Let's say something like this. And then let's slap on that halation. I think I'm going to keep both the halation and the bloom effect, because now we get that nice glowiness. And I said I'm embracing the film look, so I'm just getting more comfortable with this 35mm grain. It's like, it's so noisy, you know? It's like, it kind of speaks, it conflicts with everything in my brain whenever I see all this grainy noisiness. But I also understand the artistic flair to it, the aesthetics of it. So I keep wanting to lean more towards like a 65mm grain where it's not too in your face. There's just enough grain everywhere, but it's not like, you know. And then this is like the more extreme examples. Let's go with the 65 on this one. So I'll go 65 on this. Okay, you know what? This has turned out pretty good. I like it. So we'll keep this. And then if I need to rework some things, I'll do it here. So I think one of the things I might want to rework is maybe I might darken this corner over here. I'm not sure yet. So the light has to come from the top left. So then the bottom right, it's okay to be darker. Same with kind of the top right. This is also an interesting look. If I just put this kind of mistiness or this fade across the image here, obviously now we're breaking from what's natural, but it does kind of clean up the image. So like, because it's super faded on the far, or on the middle to the right side, it does kind of draw your attention to the banana man. So I think, you know what? I'm kind of leaning towards this. Cyronius asked, have you thought about taking a little point and shoot camera on your travels? I would love to, man. I have thought about it. Well, okay, no. I've thought about it, but what I leaned towards instead is I grabbed one of those Fuji, like the Instax, the Fujifilm Instax. So then it's got its own built-in Polaroid printer. So what I used to do, I did on a few trips, I would try to take photos of, let's say if I take a photo of a local or like some kid or whatever, I would try to then print out, I would take the photo on my camera, then Bluetooth it to my phone, do some quick edits from my phone, and then from there, connect it to the Instax app, print it from the Instax, so then I can hand that to the local. So then it's like a better quality than shooting from your iPhone, plus it's on a, you know, physical Polaroid. So I always thought that was such a cool thing. You know, like people who receive it, they love it. It's, you know, how often do you get to actually see the photo that tourists take of you, right? So I've been really enjoying that. I like what you're saying too as well, of like or like grabbing like a point and shoot. I wouldn't mind grabbing one of those pancake lenses. The DP on that shoot that I was on previously, he had one of those and was testing it. I've seen so many commercials for them. That would be kind of fun to just slap on one of those pancake lenses and then just go out there, you know, have fun with it. But yeah, I don't know. It just depends on the trip, I guess. All right, so I like the faded look. The only thing I might change is on the fade, do I want to change up the temperature a little bit? Probably not. I think we're going to retain it. Actually, a little bit of dustiness. I don't mind maybe making it feel a bit more like dusty. Or I go with the green vibes to match the Banana Man. Or we stick to the cool tones. Decisions. That's a bit too pukey colored. All right, I think that's good enough. And then let's just maybe add a bit more saturation to the orange and the greens. Cool. All right, I think we're done with this one. Again, breaking a lot of the rule. I don't know if there are no rules, but it's a bit slightly unnatural. Clearly trying to, this screams someone trying to be artistic. But you know what? We got to try, right? So I think I'm happy with that. However, we had another angle to this. Oh, no, we have a second photo. Shoot. Can I just copy and paste? Let me see. Copy. Check all. Check none. Let's grab. Let's see if we can just copy it over to this shot. Okay. Definitely on the dark side. Let's bring it up a bit. Okay, let's just stick with this. I just want to speed run this one. I'm spending too much time on some of these photos, in my opinion. We got some gorilla photos to get to, okay? Let's do this. All right, let's keep watching.
Film emulation stuff that made the highlights, sort of, if it did clip, we sort of were able to bring it back, whereas if it lost shadow information, there's kind of nothing you can do there. So the entire show, like the rushes, is like everything's lifted up, like obviously like 2 or 3 stops. It's really bright. The rushes look nuts. We basically knew where we needed to sit for this guy to cover us as we moved in and outside. My loader, second AC, was the guy who was pulling the variable ND. You know, he had to be across the weather changes as well. So the clouds were coming in. You have to be aware of like, oh, we've got a partly cloudy day, so we're gonna have to not close up too much as we go outside because we're gonna lose information or it's all gonna feel a bit crushed. Like just working out all of.
Man, this video is so fascinating. I'm like getting distracted almost. Okay, this shot turned out pretty good. I think I'm gonna keep it as is. We'll just see if I can copy over the same effect. We'll see if it, I want to keep it looking somewhat similar to the previous shot. So as much as I can retain the same edits, we shall. Sure, why not? Okay. So we got these 2 images back to back. Cool, cool. Okay, what's the next photo here? Is there something interesting with this shot? Could be interesting. Yeah, okay, we'll keep this one. There's enough color here that I think for this edit, I'll do something a bit poppier. But man, this video is so much fun. So they got like these people doing these crazy ND filter switches because of the single take. It's like, I find this so fascinating.
These sort of changeable things.
And I imagine he probably had marks and like his own monitor and everything.
Yeah.
I don't think he had marks, to be fair. You can see the sort of like the numbers on the side of this at times, but he was basically doing it off the scope on the monitor. So he was monitoring kind of the histogram.
Especially in episode 4, the take that was used, I think it was quite clear that day. The sun was out, and the transition between inside the miller's house, which was quite dark, really, especially in the stairs section.
So we had to be very precise to get that done.
Because we had the variable ND on the front, the roll axis was a difficult one to balance. So we ended up actually strapping some pound coins to the side.
How British.
Yeah. Yeah, pound coins especially.
What is a pound coin?
They're the right way.
That ended up stopping the vibration that we were slightly battling with, especially on the vehicle sections.
Right on the fence.
Sit down, love.
Now, we probably should have talked about lens choices earlier. After all, the miniseries was shot on a single focal length, the 32mm Cooke SP3. All 4 episodes were shot on the same fixed prime lens.
32mm what? Hold on.
Right on the fence.
Sit down, love.
Now, we probably should have talked about lens choices earlier. After all, the miniseries was shot on a single focal length, the 32mm
32mm Cooke? Man, I just don't know anything about this. 32mm
Cooke SP3. All 4
SP3 Sony E-mount 2.4 aperture, or I guess it's that T thing. T 2.4 32mm. Okay, that's kind of crazy. Cyrone says British pound. The Cooke look is a thing. Okay, man, I don't know any of this. $4,500 for this lens though. God dang.
episodes were shot on the same fixed prime lens. It's a compact, character-rich lens that steals a lot of its DNA from the original Cooke Speed Panchros. But the SP3 is not just a rehoused Panchro I classic. While the optical design may be similar, it uses the modern multi-layer coatings, giving it better contrast and flare control, less veiling glare, less washout, while still preserving that classic on-axis center sharpness with a gentle roll-off towards the edge of the frame.
This was brand new at the time.
It was very early though, like it had just come out. We put it on straight away, it looked fantastic.
You landed on a form factor, you wanted a small lens that...
Well, I had to find the variable ND first.
Oh, so you solved that, solved that issue first.
So the variable ND existed that was light enough, in theory, at that point, to be able to be on the 4D and not be too heavy for the head and for the Z-axis. I did the math. We've got like this many grams for our lens, essentially, because otherwise it's going to be past the sort of threshold that the camera is happy with. Now we had this, we could then use a focus motor only instead of the iris motor, because we were going to not change iris, which I was so grateful for. And there's obviously a bunch of lenses that talk straight through.
Well, I mean, I would say there's limited selection.
There is a limited number, but I was like, I thought that we needed the iris control.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, that's how we're going to keep exposure through like outside-inside transitions.
So that's where your mind was first. Had you arrived at a focal length yet?
I vaguely knew it would be around like a 30mm lens,
because you're in tight space.
Yeah, it was like a 28mm on boiling point, and I just felt like around there would stop it being too wide angle that it felt like we were like all the walls are whizzing past us too quick, and that the close-ups didn't look very nice because we were kind of in on a wider lens, and not too tight that everything felt nauseating when you move like quickly. If you're any wider as well, you start to see stuff that you want to hide, like booms and potentially lights.
Did you guys have to do a VFX of like boom shadows and that? Like...
Yes, there wasn't many. Yeah. We almost released it with like boom in shots. In the police station, one of the rooms as we came through the door, there was a boom. We noticed it in the grade. You were there that day, weren't you? Yeah, you like came to visit, and then Max, my gaffer, spotted the boom like in a doorway that we just hadn't seen it, and it was like so close to release.
You probably could have got
spotted. There was almost released it with like boom in shots. In the police station, one of the rooms as we came through the door, there was a boom. We noticed it in the grade. You were there.
I don't notice it, or maybe they removed it already.
You like came to visit, and then Max, my gaffer, spotted the boom like in a doorway that we just hadn't seen it, and it was like so close to release.
You probably could have got away with it. There's that example of, I think it's The Abyss. Camera guy cleans the lens. It's in the movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's in the movie. He wipes because the lens got fogged up. You just see the hand wipe the lens.
I can't believe they kept that in there.
And they think that's like something moving in the foreground.
I think you're just so immersed in the scene that nobody catches it. It's still in the DVDs. Like James Cameron never pulled it.
Yeah, like we got really close, but we knew that we needed it to be technically as clean as possible because people were going to look for stuff. Like that was obvious, like to us, so we had to make sure that it was tidy.
What do you want to change about this? What would you change?
Is this the mic? So while you've got the camera, you say what you don't like about it.
Yeah, rip it apart.
Obviously, in like so many ways, it is fantastic. A few limitations for us. Card space, obviously, was we were cutting it really fine. Like if the episodes were any longer, we would have been in a bit of a, well, we could have gone to 422, but it would have meant that we could use that 8K head as well.
Well, you can use an external recorder or an external recording,
but then like
you don't get the ProRes,
passing this around, and
you also don't get ProRes RAW, I believe, right?
To clarify, production made a major concession on this.
I was gonna say, I like how the interviewer, I felt like they were being like, I hear what you're saying, but trust me, we thought of all of this. Like whatever you're about to say, it's like.
Shoot to go with the 6K sensor head versus the newer 8K sensor head, because DJI's only proprietary SSD cards are 1 terabyte and only deliver about 35 minutes of record time in ProRes RAW in 8K, while the 6K sensor delivers over an hour. DJI, if you're listening and want them to shoot this camera for season 2, what better time than to make a 2 terabyte card?
Were you guys privy to any of the conversations when you selected the Ronin 4D, and was there any hesitation by anyone?
Initially, there was probably hesitation from myself because I'd never seen it before. Like I literally had never used it. It was another recommendation from Pat, actually. So Pat, my grip, basically made the show what it is in a way. Because like
Pat Gillespie.
There he is.
So Pat's seen my videos. That's what you're saying.
He must have done. He'd worked. No, I don't. Yeah. For sure. That's definitely what it is. He'd worked with one of these really recently, and he'd worked with him recently, and he had them in the forefront of his mind. And he was like, "This is a crazy little camera that you might want to see." And I was like, "Oh, this looks mad. Okay, fine. I'll have a go with it." And the second I picked it up and I was moving around with it, I was like, "Ah, interesting. Well, this is very interesting." And then there was concerns. Obviously, this was a show for Netflix, and they wanted to make sure that the camera was going to be kind of. It wasn't on their pre-approved list because you know it's.
That's right.
No, it still is.
Yeah, I remember. I only learned this recently when I, first got to try out the Nikon ZR, where they were explaining like, to be a Netflix approved camera. What was it? It has to be like certain number of stops of dynamic range, I think. Was it like 13 stops or 15 or 17 stops or something like that? Apparently, I don't know. I guess there's like some standards you have to follow. But
Netflix, if you're listening.
Come on, Netflix.
But yeah, it was amazing, like just having so many options to use with the camera, because as you said, once you knew what the camera was, it was kind of how can you best shoot each moment and what technology do you need to make that happen. And luckily, everything was so fluid, connecting and disconnecting, that we could use a tool so many times throughout an episode. Yeah. And that was the great thing with our trainees, is that it was very unconventional for like what they were doing, but they'd set the wheels up in one location, we'd use them, and then they'd move to another.
Okay, next photo done. One step closer to Gorilla Town. Yeah, I think I just retained the same edits from the Dehancer side. And yeah, just, like this is one of those like have fun with it type shots. So the main thing I wanted to do with this photo though was from the cropping perspective, I wanted to get rid of anything to do with the sky, because it felt a bit too distracting when you see the change in lighting on the top edge. So I did kind of twist the angle of the shot a bit, and I kept the 16:9, but it just fit the shadow of the vehicle and the vehicle itself. And like, I don't know, something about this vehicle is so absurd to me. Because it almost looks like it's a two-wheeler, but there's like, how could it be balanced? There must be another wheel. There must be the front end of this. I just don't. Oh, you know what? Oh, we can see this in the. I should have the behind the scenes, right? Hold on. This would be. Oh, here we go. There it is. Okay. Also, if you catch, sometimes I forget to take the lens cap off. Thankfully, I got it just in time. And then here, I just had enough time to take a few bursts of photos. These moments are always just like last second. You just try to get what you can. Drive-by shooting. But then right here, yeah, so what was not caught on the camera is there's a whole ass bike. There's a whole ass motorbike in the front of this, pulling the wagon. But I just had such an interesting angle when I took the shot where the entire front of that vehicle is missing, or it's covered up. So like right around here, right? I took the shot. So what we get is a balanced two-wheeler. So yeah, not bad. All right, how many more photos do I have? Let me just take a quick little double check here before we get to Gorilla Town. So I got one shot. I don't know. I mean, I'll still probably end up editing this, but the thing is, like, every shot is a bit blurry. Let's look at the drive-by of this one. So fun little moment. So I think, yeah, I will still edit just because it's a nice moment to show, but it's not like a good shot. Like, I just quickly took it. I don't even think they're in focus. Yeah. So I'll edit one of these. Then what do we have next? The goat herd. The kids with the makeshift bike. Dude on the bike. This should be enough. Yeah, okay. So this will be a good one to edit. All the kids. I forget if they're coming from church or from school. But, yeah. Then we got... this will be a fun one to edit because, like, my God. See the number of people packed into a single... Yo. I love traveling because, one, it's like a constant reminder to me of like how lucky I am. You know what I mean? It's like we live in our own little bubbles. We're always, you know, we all have our issues. It's not to like, you know, listen, we have our stresses. We have real issues that we have to deal with. But there's nothing like traveling to parts of the world to kind of remind you that your problem is, in the grand scheme of things, quite small. Like, imagine, holy Christ, right? Like, imagine if this is your life and you... I wasn't able to focus, but I guess we'll be able to check it out now. You know, you got kids, people, yeah, some kind of like middle-aged, young adults. Maybe I have no idea. Some people look like they're dressed for work. So it's like you all have to pile into this, and this is how you basically can go to your destination. And I was like, damn, dude, imagine if you have to do this every day. Not easy. So this kid's having the time of his life though. Yeah, I remember like the whole time I was shooting, he was like smiling and grinning the whole time, cheek to cheek. So this will be really fun to edit, but like, holy crap. And like, we're on these mountain roads. It's not dangerous, but you're going up super high in altitude. And this is mostly dirt roads. There's a lot of rain. It was like rainy season. So it's at the same time, like if you're in a vehicle like this, you're probably going to be a bit nervous when you're, you know, depending on what turns you're going on the mountain road. And you can see like at times, like the vehicle looks like it's going to tip over just because of the incline. And especially with all these people, if everyone just moves in the same direction one time, it's like GG's. But yeah. I think I mentioned, yeah, what was I doing the same challenge? No, this was ISO 140. This one I'm very excited to get to, just because there's something here. I don't know what yet, but I do like this framing. I like, there's something simple about the shot, but obviously we got clean separation of the subjects, and you got this really nice textured background with the mountains and the, you know, all that. So I think these will be fun to work through. And I might even just keep it as silhouettes. Just keep it fairly dark. Again, how old are these kids? And they're like out in the sun, busting their ass off. Like, I forget what, maybe Milton might have told me what they're doing. They're either, they might be making bricks or like, yeah, I forget what they are making here. Yeah, Jesus, I have a lot of photos to get through. Oh, this will be a good one. The lighting looks great on this shot. A bit dark, so hopefully we can rescue some of this. But even if we can't rescue the faces, there's a cool... I like how the light is passing through the clothing. And and there's enough of like, yeah, there's nice rim lighting, I guess, to this shot. So this will be a good one to edit. And then it lights up. We got the lone kid with the stick. Hopefully those are sharp, and that's it. And then once we get here, this is where I stayed at the lodge. So then we can start the gorilla shots. Oh, okay. I just wanted to take a quick note of what's remaining. I need to eat dinner, and I have to catch up on some things that just popped up that I need to take care of. So I think this is where we're going to end it for today. Yes. Oh, wait, no, wait, hold on. How close are we to finishing this video? Okay, let's finish this. We got a minute and 30 seconds. Let's watch the rest.
And then we'd use the high.
Let me bring it over full screen.
Monitor as a gyro, and then it would just change throughout. And so while we're doing that, you've got a whole team around us who are
holy crap. You can tell this guy is professional because he literally uploaded this as an 8K resolution. There's an 8K option for this interview. Like, talk about freaking overkill. But I do want to see this in 4K.
moving bits of equipment ready.
One thing I'm trying to keep a mental note of as well when I watch these things is like, how do they light up for interviews, right? Just like anytime the camera is recording something, what are they doing? And so for me, this is quite interesting. One, of course, they're using the DJIs. I did learn this technique a few years back when I was starting to get more serious, where you stick the microphone on the back side, like the underside of your shirt or the inside. And so you only have the magnet of your wireless mic showing up. So then it's like a lower profile. It's not as like in your face. So, okay. So that seems to work here without issues. Although my biggest concern of doing this though, because I've run into this problem when I was recording at home, is like sometimes you run the risk that the way the interviewer, if you're talking, if the shirt is too tight and you make an adjustment, it might scratch up the audio for a bit. Anyways, it looked like it turned out okay. What do they got? So they got they got some frames in the backside. Yo, I don't like that they didn't take the time to straighten out the frames though. But this is like I don't know if OCD is the right word. I don't know what the right term is, but I wish they could have just fixed it a little bit so that they were uniform. Okay, so then there's some light pointing at the frames on the wall. They have, so it looks like they just put it at an angle. So you got two walls behind the subjects. This is quite interesting that he's interviewing two people. And so he's got enough of himself in the side. I've never seen a framing like this. I'm like taking mental notes, but this is quite interesting. So you show yourself off to the side here. So it's not even like an over the shoulder, but you do have a little bit of him. They've got this one lamp light over on the right. Okay, anyways,
for us to use in other places.
What I find fascinating is how the making of Adolescence mirrors the story it tells. It's a series about youth, uncertainty, and growth, but those same ideas seem woven into the production itself. A younger crew, a new generation of camera operators, and a camera system that, by Hollywood standards, is still something of an outsider. But sometimes experience isn't the only ingredient that matters. Sometimes curiosity, collaboration, and the willingness to challenge the conventional are enough. Sometimes the best filmmaking doesn't happen because every decision is safe. It happens because someone is willing to take a risk on people or ideas before the rest of the industry catches on. I don't think there's a production today that has gone as hard or as deep with this DJI system. And if DJI is listening, I hope you pay close attention to how they used it and modified it, as it lays foundation of improvements for future iterations. And as for these two lads and the rest of the talented cast and crew, I can't wait to see what they cook up next.
We've rinsed.
Okay, so then they got the wide angle shot here. Okay.
We rinsed the capabilities of this camera.
Was that a rental camera?
Yeah, you can rent that exact camera from Canning 24. Focus Canning, so close.
Yeah.
You gotta buy that fucking
It's
camera.
in
You
the-
gotta get
it's
that
really
camera
cute.
back.
In the Peli case that like houses the camera, they put like a
Wow.
little plaque saying like adolescents were shot on this,
Oh,
which is brilliant.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay. I'm feeling super motivated or inspired by that. Damn, we gotta get to that level someday. All right, good place to pause. Look at my cats just chilling today. Good boy. Good boy. Look at you, lazy. What a good boy. All right, so say goodbye to my cats. Goodbye, Nala. Goodbye, Kimbap. All right. Cool. Thanks very much, guys. I appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll do another proper stream. I'll see if I can stream a bit earlier. I keep saying that every time, but we'll see if I can actually stick with it. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it, and I'll see you